PNBF's plans, what are their plans to continue the success of the national teams after the 2019 SEA Games, especially the men's team na nag-silver?
The plans first and foremost, I think, PNBF that we've already actually started is to be able to form and organize a national team commission, wherein the commission will be in charge of making sure that the programs for the national teams, both junior national team and senior national team, volleyball and beach volleyball, will be more sustainable in the future. So it's not a fly-by-night team wherein you gather everybody several months before the tournament and you ask them to come together, train together for several weeks, and then you send them off already to the tournament. So a lot of these fly-by-night instances can also have detrimental effects, not only to the ranking of the team and the country, but also rin sa emotional and mental state ng player din. And ng coaches and the staff and the team.
It's like the Gilas setup na before, kasi di pa po yung Gilas is a few months before a tournament, they take the best players from the PBA and make the team. And now the Gilas has a program mismo na the likes of Isaac Go, the Nieto twins, is for Gilas only and not the PBA. So parang ganun po ba?
I think as of now, it's the volleyball scene is quite in its infancy stage with regard to the federation. So there are a lot of things that we should be doing and that should be done. And one of the major things that Sir Tatsuzara also wants the federation to do is to fix the event calendar for the year. And that's very, very important because as you have witnessed, as we all have witnessed in the past years, in the past decade perhaps, there's a lot of overlap when it comes to the commercial leagues, the university leagues, and at the same time, the national league and the international tournaments. So that's one of the things that we should fix also, because the only way for us to move forward and be seamless with the sporting program for the national team is if everybody will be on the same page. So that's one of the things that the National Team Commission is also very much aware of, and we're also doing something about that as we speak.
PVL decided, well, not decided, they achieved professional status. So how big is it for the Philippine volleyball landscape in general to have a professional league?
Turning professional, I think, is one of the more vital things in a sporting, in the growth of a sporting nation, no? And to have PVL as somebody at a league that embraces becoming professional is a big step, because this brings more security to the players and this brings more stability also to the career that they've chosen. A lot of times before, and I've also experienced this when I was younger, I didn't want to play volleyball after my collegiate career because it's very vague in a sense. There's no path for me to choose from, diba? But now, having said that, with PVL turning pro and teams actually becoming more sustainable, and it's not only a per conference team, it now becomes what you call this, several years of having a team. Then the players can already envision to want to be greater or to actually have a career in the sport. And that is very, very big because a lot of these players from before, they stopped playing because nga wala silang career path. Sayang talaga, very much talented. And alam mo, can bring a lot of help and assistance to the Philippines in the national scope and international scope as well. Pero yun nga, since wala pang pathway before, mahirap for a player to say, I give up everything. I give up earning revenues and I give up also having a job just so I can play. That's the most ideal way of living and of playing a sport. Pero that's not for everybody. Syempre, we always have to be practical. Also, we need to think, we have friends, we have brothers, sisters, parents who we want to support too, the family that we want to support too. And if the sport can bring us that, so that was the before landscape, we can't choose it. However, now it's changing, and we've been seeing it naman in the past couple of years, diba? may mga changes talaga in terms of the allowances, the benefits that the player can receive. But as a player, you still want that sense of security, that sense of stability for a tenure, a career path. And yun yung nabibigay ng PVL becoming a professional league. Especially when the Games and Amusement Board will be there also for some intervention, diba? Although right now it's in its infancy stage, marami rin also mga gray areas that we need to work on. They're also really helping us talaga to transition eh. So that's what's nice also about the setup.
The current thinking, well, the old thinking and still the current thinking in the Philippines is education is always the priority. So, are you afraid that younger players who have yet to finish their college degree will jump to the PVL? Will this make a negative stigma or no naman, since it's for the betterment of their careers naman?
I think that question with education is what do you call that, has a lot of parang gray areas, if I can say that. Because number one, education is very, very important. I really believe that also. But there is also such a thing as progressive and holistic education. And I see that with sports. I am a firm believer of being a holistic human being, wherein you delve on intelligence, you delve on your emotional intelligence, you delve on your physical well-being and your emotional well-being as well. And I think a lot of these other facets nakukuha natin with playing sports. And that's one of the things that I can also see in the athletes also nowadays, not only here in the Philippines, but also abroad. So yes, I believe in education. And also, yes, I'm an advocate of progressive education, wherein it's not only via books that we learn, but we learn in the world out there. And when we combine such things with the things that we learn in the book, the things that we learn inside the classroom, and we get to apply them in what you call this, real world situations, like playing sports, learning how to interact with others, learning how to see everything as a lesson and not as a failure when we lose. Diba? Those are the things that we really talagang imbibe in our lives. And those are the things that can help us or propel us to be better human beings. So if we get to integrate it talaga, the education, the academics, and at the same time, the things that we learn from the sport, then that for me is the most ideal academy. I would want to enroll there.
Ms. Charo, I know this is close to your heart. How will the PNVF help improve the beach volleyball landscape in the Philippines?
Well, I was tasked to be the one to make sure that we do grow as a beach volleyball nation. And in my group also, I have a lot of trustworthy people that will help me, who's as passionate, even more passionate than me. And I have players also that will represent the women's, Zia Vasho, and the men's, AJ Pareja. And at the same time, other people also that would help me in other sectors of the Philippines, in Mindanao, in Luzon, and in Visayas. And one thing that we really plan to do is to be able to involve the coastal communities. We've been doing that before our group when we would go out and do tours, but now it's going to be of a different level because we want to really touch on the community-based system. We tried that. We delved on the superficial level. We tried to introduce sand routes and the game. But this time around, it's going to be different because we are recognized already by the Philippine Olympic Committee, supported by the Philippine Sports Commission, and at the same time recognized and fully supported also by the International Federation. And because of that, I think it's going to be well, it's not going to be easy, but it will be easier for us to actually speak with different local government units to help us with our cause. We all know that the Philippines is such a beautiful country. We have a lot of beautiful beaches, and the beaches that we go to they're actually our playground for beach volleyball. So one thing that we want to really pursue is for the Philippines to be Asia's hub for the sport. So we want to be able to hone players from the coastal communities as young as 8, 9, 10 years old to be introduced to the sport and to love the sport. So ang task po namin sa beach volleyball group, sa commission and the PNVF, is to be able to show them that there is also a pathway for beach volleyball and not only volleyball. So there are a lot of players before that love beach, like myself, and like Cici Rondina, Bernadette Pons, James Buitrago from Cebu, Jaron Requinton, the young ones. These are the people who love beach. But since wala pa po tayong beach volleyball path a decade ago, they had to choose volleyball. They had to choose UAAP, indoor sports, because that's where the scholarship comes from. And we all know we've spoken about how important education is. So that's where the scholarships go to, that's where the sponsors go to. So that's what they choose. Pero yung task po namin sa group namin now is to be able to show or to be able to build career path for beach volleyball players to say na hindi, ako, pinipili ko talaga yung beach volleyball. Ito talaga yung mahal ko. At ito yung gusto kong gawin until they reach their dreams, of course.
Miss Charo, because it's been an open secret na there are two groups before sa volleyball, yung LVPI and
talaga? Dala ka.
Parang there's a silent rift, ganon. So with the creation of PNVF, do you feel that there's a feeling of unity now?
Honestly, yes. There's a lot of what I feel right now is unification. And it's not only because of the drift of these two leagues, no? And we all know it's the PVL and the PSL. It's not only because of that. The unification that I'm feeling also personally is because I now get to talk to people from Mindanao. I now get to talk to Dr. Arnel, who's very, very active there, helping the young kids in his program, Bola Hindi Bala in Zamboanga. I now get to talk to Coach Abet of Volleyballista de Davao to tell him about the beach volleyball programs that we want to do. I get to talk to our former president also, Federation President Carl Chan, with his programs about the development of the sport, diba? And these talks, these unifying talks, really help me become even more excited with the task that we have moving forward. So again, what we see in the surface is or are PVL and PSL. Yun yung nakikita natin kasi yun yung napapanood natin sa media, yun yung nakikita natin sa TV. Nandun yung mga sikat na players na a lot of people follow. But those things, the one up here, they're only as strong as the ones around them. So when we're able to really strengthen the grassroots and strengthen yung mga peripheral areas of the sport, then the PVL, the PSL, or whatever unifying league, let's say the league of the federation also, soon enough that will also happen. Yung mga yon talagang aangat, mag-grow, but not because of who they are now, but because of what the other people did also surrounding them. So yun, para sa akin, that's a very unifying feeling to be able to really be part of that change, kumbaga nga, part of the process. So yes dun sa sagot mo. Meron akong nararamdaman na unification.
How will the PNVF continue the development of the grassroots? Nabanggit nyo na rin po yung sand roots for beach volley. How about sa 5-on-5 sa indoor?
Well, there is a commission that is just solely focused for grassroots, and it's also based from the FIVB structure. This is the Development Commission, And Sir Tats is also actually a member of the Development Commission of FIVB. So we're very excited with the learnings that he has, that he will teach us also sa Commission ng Development dito sa Philippines, which Sir Carl Chan is the chairman for. So marami po tayong programs that we are also envisioning. And these programs will touch on, of course, the community-based learnings for the sport. And in such a way wherein the sustainability of the program, the national team program, will not only focus on the seniors, but also in other categories, much like under 23, under 18, under 16. That way, there really is talaga a seamless progress for the sport, di ba? So, and it's also one of the things that they would want to also push for in the National Team Commission, which I'm also a part of, is to increase the number of national team members in the pool. Lang talaga. So we want to be able to make sure that there are buffer slots as well para we can send teams to different leagues or different international tournaments, which I feel for me is much more advantageous than just focusing on one team, diba? So yun.
So if for example, the 5 best players of under 19, parang they will have a trajectory that they will go to the seniors eventually.
Yes, of course. And there will also be a chance wherein the top of the under 23 will also be actually part already of some of the tournaments that the seniors will play in. Diba? So meron na silang parang what they call this exposure that can also help them in their under 23 stint. So that makes it more ano talaga eh, that makes it more practical and that makes it more sustainable for our national team program.
So that's all, Miss Charo. Maraming salamat po sa time. And so, yan.
Okay.
Thank you po.
Oo nga. Thank you, Bong. It's nice to make chika with you. I'll see you soon.